This is episode 18 of the Brand Authority podcast. Today's episode is going to cover social media content conversion and all those pesky reasons why yours is failing to produce results.
This is the Brand Authority Podcast, the show for growth-driven leaders who want to win more customers, increase revenue, and gain the competitive edge. Broadcasting from sunny Los Angeles, here's your host, Rebecca Radice.
Well, hello and welcome back to the Brand Authority Podcast. So happy to see you here each and every week. And you know that your feedback, your reviews are what help us reach more people on iTunes. And of course, anywhere you love to get your podcast fix on. I guess that would be a good way to put it. But I would so appreciate if you would just take a moment to give us a 5-star review and anything you'd like to say that would help others quickly and easily find and identify that this is the podcast for them. I would just truly appreciate it. All right, so let's dive into today's topic, which is why your social media content isn't converting. You know, I know so many marketers who invest all of this time, so much energy into social media, only to find that their lead generation it's really not producing the results that they want. In fact, their results are meager at best. And this should not be the case. I talked about being strategic and intentional within your life and business, but the same holds true for social media or digital marketing or any aspect of your business. If you want to see results, you've got to get crystal clear on what you're looking to achieve. So why are you using social media? How is social media helping you achieve those business goals? And then how are you going to track and measure that? Because if you don't know how things are working, there's no way for you to dig into why your social media content isn't converting. So today I'm going to help you figure out why it's not converting and then how you're going to fix it. Number one is creating differentiation. So if you don't know what sets your brand apart from all the others, how in the world do you expect your audience to get it? How do you expect them to understand what it is that you do, and more importantly, who it is that you help? Now, in episode 17, so if you haven't listened to it yet, I would go back and take a listen because we started the conversation around social selling, and that's why I felt it was so important to partner that with your social media content and why it's not converting, because obviously, these two topics play together hand in hand and really play a huge role in how effective you are at capturing your audience's attention. But more than that, how effective you are at moving them into that next step with you. So whether it's a blog post and you want them to read that, whether it's a landing page for an ebook you've put together, or maybe it's a webinar you want them to opt in for, all of those need your special touch. They need you to understand your audience, understand what you do for your audience, and then how to position that and translate that into a language that they understand, that they can hear, they can really understand and respond to across social media. So for you, it's just knowing what sets you apart, because doing that is going to help you connect with your potential customers on a deeper level. So instead of talking on a very surface level, you know those conversations. Maybe you have those neighbors that you kind of know, but you don't really know, and you walk by them and you're like, hey, how's it going? Great weather today. You know, very superficial type of conversations, as opposed to the conversations you have with good friends or with family, where you know the intricacies of their life, you know what's going on in their world. And even if you don't, you know the right questions to ask to get to the bottom of it. So think about that as it pertains to your audience, because as you better understand what differentiates you and how that helps your customers, you can start to create content that is perfectly aligned with what's going to move them forward. What is it that they are struggling with within their life or their business? What is it that has created a very specific pain point to the extent that they're now reaching out to you to find an answer? Now, if you don't know what differentiates you, there's a couple of different ways you can go about this. And I know, I get it sometimes. We struggle to, when I talk about struggle, hey, the struggle is real when it comes to us as entrepreneurs, right? We have a tough time knowing, what do I do better than anybody else? I'm kind of good at this, or I'm kind of good at that. And that's that negative self-talk that we've got to get rid of and embrace those things that you do incredibly well. So first place to start, if you're not real sure, is ask those people. Ask those people that are closest to you. So your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, your kids, depending on the age of your kids and how much they would be honest with you in their feedback, because that's what you're really looking for here. Is you want that honest, unfiltered feedback of, here's what makes you terrific. Here's what I've always thought you do better than anybody else. And you can ask them, if you were to refer somebody to me, what would it be for? What would they be coming to me to do? And that's going to give you some specific clues too. So, maybe they say I would send them to you for graphic design. Well, that's huge, right? That whole bucket. What specifically? So you can start to dig a little bit deeper into, so what type of graphic design would that be? Is there a segment? So for example, are they connected to authors? So are they looking for graphic design when it comes to their book covers and their promotional content? So you really want to dig a little bit deeper with these people. And as I said, make sure they're people that know you well, that you trust, that love and adore and respect you, and aren't just going to gloss over, but are going to be very honest with you in their feedback. Because this is, again, it's going to be a great place for you to start to go, I never thought about it that way, or I hadn't considered that I was that great at, this specific area within my life. And they can also help you start to think about other areas where you might be able to expand, whether it's within that skill set or whether it's within a different demographic or market. So lots to consider as you start to talk to other people. And now once you know a little bit better about what differentiates you, you can take that one step further and you can really start to personalize your content for your clients. So for example, if you're a coach or a designer, like I talked about, you could create a client intake form that focuses on their exact needs. So maybe you're a photographer, but your specialty is weddings. So that client intake form would be almost a pre-qualification form where you are qualifying whether or not this is the right fit. Is this the right person for you? So you're more than just a photographer that happens to do weddings. Quite possibly, you only do weddings for people that have $100,000 budget. So you cater to a very unique segment of people. Then your client intake form could be specific to the wants and needs of that target market. So you get my drift. It just allows you to be a lot more specific and personalized in how you're interacting with potential clients and customers. And one last piece here, as you're considering what differentiates you, one big area a lot of people miss is the culture and the values of your business, of your personal brand, and how that's woven into every conversation, every piece of content, every social interaction that you have. So you have to consider that as well, because these are traits specific to your culture that make your potential customers choose you over somebody else. And I know I've talked about Apple and being a huge fan of Apple in previous episodes, but you do have to think about what is that culture that you're naturally attracted to? Is there something there that you can emulate or model their success? And how is that going to really speak to your audience and give them that extra nudge they need to move from your competition over to you? So just really critical that you use your social networks to differentiate your brand, add that layer culture as well as your values into the conversations and all of your marketing materials. The next reason why your social media content isn't converting is because your content doesn't answer the all-important "what's in it for me" question. Consumers don't have time to look at your content for hours or even minutes. They're scanning at best these days. They are moving at a lightning speed and have mere seconds to research, to interact, and decide what brand to buy from, what product to purchase. So you need a way to capture their attention right off the bat, and you can do that by answering that "what's in it for me" question. So what is it about your company, your brand, your product that they are looking to you for? So what problem are you solving? And how do you uniquely go ahead and take care of your customer? You need to be writing about that, so blogging about that, creating videos about that. You need to be talking about that daily. So everything from your social media post to every other type of piece of content, your daily interactions, all of that needs to support that answer, "what's in it for me?" So what is the benefit? What is the value? Why would I choose you over somebody else? The last thing you want to do is leave your potential customer guessing what your product or your company is all about. And that, I know we're talking about social media, but that is across every single place. So your website, your blog, all of your copy, all of your call to action, everything needs to be very clear, very specific, and very simple for your target market to understand. So if you haven't done an audit of all of those locations and looked at it from a customer perspective, today is the day to do that. Take some time to evaluate. Would this person know why they were hiring me, what they were hiring me for? Would they know what to expect from me, what they'd actually get from me? All of those things roll up into that "what's in it for me." The next reason your social media content isn't converting is because, and this might be a tough one, you lack creativity. If your social media content is boring and lifeless, and again, you're going to want to do an audit of your content, go back and look. Can you hear your voice? Can you feel the emotion, the passion behind what you do? Because if you can't, your audience definitely cannot. But again, if it's boring, if it has no enthusiasm, you are really going to struggle to bring leads in through your marketing funnel. And it all starts at the top there with social media as brand awareness. So your top of funnel is so incredibly important to bring awareness about who you are and what you do. And the way you're going to be able to move them down through that funnel is by creating content that's creatively appealing, but also speaks the language of your audience. Because let's face it, people don't want to do business with strangers, and they certainly don't want to do business with a stranger that is unappealing and boring to them. They want to connect with people that they come to know, like, and trust. And creativity, whatever shape and form that comes in for your business, because value is in the eye of the beholder. And remember that, because your audience is unique. So the value to them is what's valuable to them. You need to understand that and then creatively serve that up. So creatively create creatively create, say that 3 times fast, content that is personalized and speaks to exactly what your audience is looking for from you. Another problem I often see is that your content doesn't educate. So the purpose of social media should never be to directly promote your business nonstop. You need that perfect balance of content where you're talking about those things that matter most to your audience. You're having some fun. So maybe you're sharing gifts or images, or maybe you're educating your customers on something that they need to know or they need to be on the lookout for. Ask yourself, is there a question that your customers are asking over and over and over again? So think about, if you get on the phone with customers, what is a running theme? What is that one question you get asked all the time? Or maybe when you're out at conferences, or you're out networking, or you're just online interacting with your customers. What are those top questions that get asked over and over? Because that's exactly where you should start. You should begin by answering those frequently asked questions. So here's a way that you could easily do this. You could sit down and think about, what are the top, let's just say 10 most frequently asked questions. A lot of different places you could put these. You could put it on your blog, you could put it on your website, but you could take that one step further and you could actually create a video that answers that exact question. Now, you could use this on YouTube. You could create a live video around this topic. You could use short little snippets of that, maybe 30 seconds, to share across social media. Just so many different ways that you can answer those questions that, if one person has it, a whole lot of other people have those same exact questions, and use them as a way to heighten that awareness around what you do and who you help. They can also do a great job with SEO when you write the titles, you create a meta around what are those questions that are actually getting typed in to Google. So if you think that your audience is asking, how do I increase Facebook engagement? Start to do a little bit of research. Type that into Google. See what else comes up. What other questions are people asking around that same exact topic? Then go to social media, type in the same thing, Facebook engagement. See what kind of conversations are happening around that. You can also go to your competition. So let's say go to a competitor Facebook page that's pretty interactive, pretty busy, and see in the comments, what are their customers talking about? What questions are they asking? Those are all really good indicators of what those answers or those questions are that you should be providing answers to. And last but not least, another really good reason why your social media content isn't converting is because you don't listen, you don't pay attention, and you're too slow to respond or follow up. And I see this as one of the easiest ways and one of the top ways so many companies lose leads, because they take way too much time to respond. Just think about it. You're a potential customer. They've taken the time to reach out to you with some problem, some question. And if you don't respond in a timely manner, how do they feel? Maybe disrespected, maybe they're angry, maybe they're frustrated, maybe they needed that answer to take that next step with you, and instead they've moved on to your competition that got back with them. That's why it's so important that you come up with a plan and a system to easily respond to the user or to that follower on social media, and then follow up after their initial contact. That system, whether it's just you or a team, is going to create consistency. It's going to help you build trust and stay top of mind. Another incredibly important aspect to all of this with social media. Also, you want to make sure to always follow up. So you might have answered their first question, but there's a good chance that they have a follow-up question. So have a tickler system in place, a tool that you can set a reminder, Go back to that social network where they actually asked that question. Make sure you don't have any notifications that they haven't come back with an additional question, because as you know, and dependent on the price point of your product or service, there could be a little bit of back and forth before they're ready to buy. So be respectful of their time. Understand that not everybody has the same decision-making process, so you have to work within those confines and help them get from point A to point B as quickly and as easily as possible, but also as pain-free as possible. So in wrapping all of this up, just a few last thoughts to leave you with as far as the content you're creating and your conversions. So it's no secret, if you listen to me here, if you follow me anywhere on social media, on my blog, you know I am a huge fan of not just the written, but the spoken word. And to me, writing has always been an extremely powerful tool. But with over 211 million pieces of content created every day, there's also no shortage of it. So while content is a great way to communicate your ideas, your thoughts, your emotions, truly inspiring content is very hard to come by. In fact, in a recent survey, 60% of marketers say that creating engaging content is their biggest challenge. So for you, as you think about what is that content that's going to convert, really consider how can you create better content, because that is the content that not only reaches and inspires your audience, but it convinces them to take that next step with you. So your challenge for this next week is to think about how can you create content that people want to read, that people want to share, that's going to amplify your business, is going to amplify your authority, your credibility, your leadership within your particular market. And then focus on how you can authentically bring that through into every piece of social media content that you share. Thanks for listening to the Brand Authority Podcast, brought to you by RadiantLA.com, helping growth-driven leaders win more customers, increase revenue, and gain the competitive marketing edge. If you like what you heard, please share your review on iTunes. It's such an important way for others to find and connect with us. So thank you in advance for popping over there and giving us your 5-star review. And don't forget to share with your friends and colleagues as well. Until next time, look forward to seeing you right back here on the Brand Authority Podcast.